All right, welcome to the Solution Talks of the Google Cloud Consulting. Today I'm going to talk with you about conversational AI agents on Google Cloud and how they can be used to drive customer satisfaction on your brand. And frankly, these days, customer patience is gone. So the time when providing a talking machine and expecting that level of engagement for the novelty is gone. What customers really want is effortless outcome, interacting with your brand, and outcome in the real world. My name is Gabriel Lio. I'm an enterprise architect manager with Google Cloud Consulting. And today I'm going to talk about conversational agent in 3 stages. At the beginning, I'll talk a bit about the AI opportunity in customer engagement. Then I'll focus on conversational agents and how you can build a strong customer engagement using the customer engagement suites of Google Cloud. Specifically, the product is Dialogflow. And I've prepared a demo of using conversational agents for a use case of a travel agent. So I'll show you how you can build an AI agent step by step. So let's get started. So today's organizations are navigating a number of different challenges in multiple organizations. I'm showing here a few examples, but typically customers want more speed when interacting with brands. They want better capabilities in self-serving their requests. And frankly, not all companies have good integration of AI capabilities with their service suites. Yet it's not a surprise that generative AI has great potentials to affect the customer experience. And not only that, also the productivity, both in terms of operations and also cost. Some estimate bring up that productivity can increase by 30 to 45% using generative AI, and the need for human interaction on service call may be cut by half. And according to McKinsey, generative AI is the top function in terms of potential to augment and increase the productivity in terms of the rate of productivity. So this is a great opportunity, and the question is, how can you take advantage of it? Well, in Google Cloud, we offer a suite of tools that we call the Customer Engagement Suite. It's based on our Google AI technologies. It's a set of tools that we can represent in a stacked diagram. So starting from the bottom, you have conversational core models and tools. You have speech to text, text to speech, our generative AI capabilities based on the Gemini models, translation, and so on and so forth. On top of these, you have our contact center as a service, where you have additional services such as interaction via voice, phone, email. You have interfaces for human agents at contact centers. And on top of these, we have, if you want, 3 products that provide the conversational AI services. The first on the left is the conversational agents based on the product Dialogflow CX, our customer experience, that allows for the creation of agents that can interact with the real world. Agent Assist is a product that supports human agents in doing their job, right? Interacting with the customers in a way that can be supported by artificial intelligence. And Conversational Insights is a tool used mainly by the managers of the contact centers to have AI-driven analysis of the performance of the contact center. All of this is integrated with a large ecosystem of telephony, different type of connectors, CRMs, and so on and so forth, to provide a fully integrated experience. The Customer Engagement Suite really streamlines the user experience throughout the customer journey. So it boosts agent productivity for the human agents in the contact centers. It improves the ability of users to act on their own request by themselves, so self-service capability. It's multimodal, omni-channel. It provides capabilities to modernize the infrastructure with different chat integration, voice, and so on and so forth, and enables the collection of metrics and analyses, again driven by AI, to provide visibility on the effectiveness of a contact center. This slide is a bit of an eye chart. It represents all the services that our contact center as a service suite provides. We don't have the time to go over them in detail. Where I will concentrate myself for today is on the conversational agents, so the bottom left box, using Dialogflow, which is our product to manage the conversational AI capabilities in AI agents. And when you're thinking about Dialogflow, it can operate in two complementary modes. There is a deterministic flow mode where you can define specific steps in the flow of the conversation and interactions with the real world. And it's a very prescriptive way of driving a conversation with a customer. Many of our customers actually love it because it's really predetermined. It's very deterministic. There is no surprise when your customer interacts with the system. And then we also offer the generative capabilities. This is an agent that is based on Gemini, our large language model, to generate answers based on context. And it's, if you want, a more modern approach to create conversational capabilities in agentic AI. I will focus mainly on the generative part. And to do that, I have built a demo. As I mentioned, this is a use case of a customer that wants to interact with a travel agency. And the interactions is mediated by the AI. And the agent interacts with an external database that gives it the ability of having access to real-world information. All of this, of course, is a demo, and gives you the step-by-step instructions on how to create your own use case. So let's get started. At a high level, this is the architecture of the conversational agent. It's a simplified architecture. It shows the various components. Near number one, you have our Gemini large language model. It is informed by a prompt or a playbook to give it instructions on how to behave and converse with the customer. Examples at point number 3 are ways to characterize the voice of the brand and gives directions for the agent in very specific circumstances that may not be necessarily described in the general instructions. All of this is integrated through Dialogflow at point 5, which can call out to an API. In this case, it will be a mock database with flight information that can be integrated to an integration capability of the Dialogflow. So to get started, you can go and in your console, and you want to find the AI applications in your console, and you can go to it by searching, for example, for conversational AI, Vertex AI, multiple ways. And once you land on that page, you can hit the button of create a new app. This was in point number 1. When you hit the button and create the app, you have a screen that is in number 2. There are multiple applications that you can create. Agent Space is our Gemini for Enterprise. We have Search for Commerce and other applications here. What we are focusing on today is the conversational agent, so at the bottom left. And so when you click and you want to create a conversational agent, you are brought to a screen in point 3, where you have different options to create it. In this case, we would build our own. And when you click on that, you have the window on point 4, where you can select the playbook or the deterministic flow. In our case, we are looking at a playbook capability here. So then when you click on that, you are brought into the editing suite for creating your agent. On the left-hand side, you see a list of tools. There is a playbook context that is the one selected and gives you access to this screen. And on the top right, you have various other tools, such as using a simulator to interact with the agent. So if you click on that, you can actually interact with a chat window, and the agent replies to you, and so on and so forth. If you look at this at the bottom left, I put as a reminder for us the icon of the Gemini LLM component in our architecture. If you look at this agent has no instruction. The only thing that I did here was explaining to the agent that their goal is to discuss flight information with customers. And yet, without any more information than that, our large language model have an idea what it means to discuss flight information with customers. So even without any instructions, you can start a conversation. I mean, like the one that you see here. You know, I start with hello. How can I help you? I'd like to find a flight from New York to Las Vegas. And the agent replies with great. I can help you with that. And then when are you looking to travel? So already the model itself has the concept that the travel has a date associated with this. So you can say, okay, June 1st, and okay, are you looking for a round trip, one-way flight, and so on and so forth. So all these capabilities are inherent on the large language model itself. Now, if you drive a conversation this way, it's very random. The large language model will even make up the item of conversation, right? Lines. What you really want here is to instruct the agent on how to drive the conversation, how to behave. And you can do that by writing a prompt. So if you look at the bottom left, there is instructions, an instruction box, where you can describe what you want the agent to do. So for example, ask the user for information about their flight, such as origin and or destination, time window, and so on and so forth. You can even give more specific instructions, such as repeat the relevant information to ensure that you have it clearly understood. And so then when you go and you try the interaction with the agent, like before, it will start to gather information about your flight, but then it will say things like, okay, so you're looking for a flight from New York to Las Vegas on June 1st, is that correct? Right? So this behavior is driven by the instruction set that you have provided. So on the bottom right, you see that now, as a reminder for ourselves, we are using the Gemini LLM component as well as the prompt playbook. Now, to provide even more context to your agent to reply according to your brand voice to your customer, you need another element. And this is the element of examples. Examples give a context of a conversation to the agent and examples of how to answer within that context. So in this example, I have created a particular opening where at the beginning, let's say that the travel agent has some discounts and they want to advertise this fact. And so then in this context, we tell the agent that they should answer with something like, we have great discounts available to you. So, and of course, this will depend on the actual use cases, but we do this through examples. And so if you look at the bottom right, we have the three components now that all play a role here. And so then when you interact with the agent, it will take that example to start the conversation, and it will answer with what you see here, which is, we have great discounts available to you. How can I help you today? So we have the basic blocks for driving the conversation with the agents. Now we have the large language model, we have a set of instructions, so a playbook, and we have examples to drive the voice of your brand when interacting with the customer. In this example, though, we get to a point where the agent tells me, well, sorry, something went wrong. Can you repeat? So something happened here to the agent. And the question is, how do you debug this? How do you understand what the agent is thinking? Well, in the Dialogflow product, we have the capability of looking at the debug trace. So there is a button on the top right that you can click, and then you see the context of what the agent is actually doing. So in the red box at the bottom, you see, for example, that the agent has retrieved an example that was germane to the context of the conversation to that point. In our case, it was at the beginning of the conversation. And then at the top, you see the error. Why did it fail? And the agent knows enough that at this point, it cannot give you more information. It tries not to really hallucinate in this case, right? So it tries to do what it knows how to do, which is call an external action, called in his case, in his imagination, search flights, passing input per the conversation that we just had. So the large language model was keeping track of all of these attributes that we asked it to track through the instructions. And then it tries to call this action, the search flights action, that frankly is not defined yet. What I'm going to show you now is how to define these actions so that you can enable your agent to interact with the external world. So what I did was I've created a very simple mock search flight API code. So I wrote essentially an API that is a front end to a back end mock database that has flight information. And so when you hit this API with the parameters of the search, it will reply with a search in the database with the flights that match that search. Okay, very simple code. And as a matter of fact, I'm the author of this code, but I didn't quite write it all myself because, of course, I used Gemini to write it for me. And my prompt was, I want for you to code a simple API that simulates a search flight API. The input parameters can be something like the following. And this is, in fact, taken even from the proposal that Dialogflow had for me when he was trying to call the API and didn't have anything integrated yet, right? But I know that the large language model had the ability of extracting those information already. I had, of course, some code that I had written before that was implementing an API. So, I want to write this in TypeScript. I have a snippet of a reference implementation. So I know that, it will try to do something that is close to what I know it works. And then you can hard code specific information for the flight. So this is mock data that Gemini will generate for me. So all this synthetic data, I don't have to generate. The large language model will do it for me. And the other part that I needed from Gemini was also a description of the contract in OpenAPI format, because this is, spoiler alert, what Dialogflow uses to actually learn about the API call. So I also needed an OpenAPI description of the API. Of course, you can generate it through tools, but in this case, I gave Gemini an example of a previously existing OpenAPI description, and then it generated it for me. So this was not too bad, 15, 20 minutes to generate the code, debug it a little bit. I had to adjust a couple of things that I didn't quite like. And then I deployed this to Cloud Run to host the API. Maybe, 30 minutes overall to do this work. It saved me a ton of time. And then using the Cloud Shell in your console, I was testing it, right? So you can hit it with curl, pass some data, and then it returns the list of mock flights that Gemini had generated for me that meet this criteria. Okay, so I created this, generated this, and now it works. So now the question is, how do you integrate this API with your agent? And the way you do it, if you go back to the page where you have your Dialogflow editing agent window, there is a tool on the left called Tools. And when you click on it, you can give it the open API description of your API. You can provide a name for the API. We said search flight is the right name here. Various ways you can present as a JSON or YAML, various options here, right? But at the end of the day, you see the full integration on the bottom left. And so all the components now are ready, right? We have the Gemini LLM, you have the prompt, you have the examples, you have the API, and now we are integrating Dialogflows that orchestrates all of these through this tool integration capability, which I'm showing on the window right now. And so then, once you have all of this ready, you can go back to your agent, interact with it like you were doing before. You want to change the instructions, like in the red box, where you're saying, once you have the information, look up the details of the customer flight information, visiting $tool search flight, right? So this is the name that we gave to the tool, and now we are enabling the agent to know about the tool through its prompt. And so then what it does, if you look on the right, there is the conversation like we had before. The information is extracted. And then if you look on the bottom left, there is, bottom left of the conversation, there is an invocation to search flight with the parameters that were extracted. And then on the right, you actually see what the API returns, which is a JSON file with the flights that matched the search criteria. And then what the LLM does, takes this JSON and transforms it into natural language so that it can communicate it back with the user. And so it will say something like, I found 2 flights for you. The flight is United Airlines flight, blah, 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 departing at 8 a.m., blah, 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 etc., etc. So it transforms this JSON description into something that can be communicated verbally to the customer. Okay? Now, what I shown to you is only the one of the components of a broader architecture. So when you design the architecture for a full conversational AI suite, you want to specialize tools on specific functions. Like in this case, we had the search of a flight. You may add maybe to that the capability of booking a flight, right? But there are other paths that are not necessarily related to flight information. It may be the frequent flyers information for the user, as an example, right? So you may want to separate certain functions based on how big the instructions become. You don't want 2,000 lines of instructions, because as a human will get confused, also an agent will get confused. So this breaking down of specialization for agents is actually a principle to follow. In this broader architectural diagram, I show the conversational agent on the top right. And then I show that I have other agents, like number 7 here, near number 7. You have an agent that is actually grounded on a corpus of data maintained in the data store. So this is another capability of Dialogflow, where you can provide a corpus of documents. You can index them through vectorization using the Gemini embeddings into a Vertex AI data store. And then the agent can access that corpus, grounding this way all the interactions that the user has. Okay, so that's another interesting aspect that I didn't have the time to go into a lot of details of, but check it out, it's very interesting. And then typically you have near number 8, again, a Dialogflow, it's an agent that does the orchestration of the interaction between the user and all the agents that I have defined. So in this case, this operator is often implemented with the other mode of operations of Dialogflow. It's often a deterministic flow that is very well determined and designed to limit the interactions of the users with your brand to the capabilities that you have for your support with the customer. So in this case, Dialogflow, the number 8 here, will redirect the conversation to the different agents. And you can then integrate this orchestration layer with multiple external connectors. On the left, under number 9, you see maybe a text interface or a phone interface. You can configure these connectors directly into Dialogflow. And when you, for example, interact with the agent through a phone, there is a speech-to-text that will transform your voice into something that then can be passed to the other agents. And when the answer is produced and is returned, then text-to-speech will transform it to send it back to you. Or you may not even need these if you use, for example, chat. It can be a simple pass-through. Other ways to interact with the agent are, for example, through a computer. You can have a web app that, for example, implements a UI like under 12, and you have an audio application that then streams the audio from your computer into Dialogflow, and then there is the speech-to-text and the text-to-speech to interact with the app. Or you can have a mobile application Typically, in that case, the UI is hosted in the mobile device itself, but you can, for example, use the audio app that passes the audio back and forth, for example, with WebSockets, various techniques. So at a high level, this is how you design a full experience for your customers to interact with your brand, with on the left the channels that you want for the user to use to interact with your agents, and on the right you have your specialized agents, and then you have an orchestrator in the center that decides how to triage the call based on context. So I'm at the end of my time now. We talked about conversational AI. I wanted to leave you with this experience that I had as a young man. I was born and raised in Italy, on the Italian Riviera, in a city called Savona, sunny place near France, beautiful Riviera. I moved to the United States when I was 24, and it was the first time I traveled to the United States. It was a very long trip, a long flight. I had to rent a car, find my hotel. I didn't have navigation at the time. I didn't have a cell phone at the time. And so it was, I had to manage to do all of that. And I got to the hotel and it was night. I was very tired, but I still wanted to call back home, telling, my family, look, I'm here, I'm safe, all good, right? And I didn't have a cell phone at the time. It was not very common. And fortunately, there were phone booths and public phones everywhere. And so I said, okay, I'll do a collect call. And so I found this public phone. I picked up the phone. And then, okay, how do I do this, right? First time in America. And I went into this nightmare of an option-based menu where I couldn't quite well understand what they were telling me. At the end of the day, after that stressful experience, I was able to speak with an operator, and then I gave the information to the operator, a human person, right? That did the collect call for me. I talked with my family. Look, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm going to bed now. And I'm thinking back to that experience, and I'm thinking, how could I help myself, the young myself at the time today? And the answer is through conversational agents. Today, that terrible experience that I had, tired, wanted to go to sleep, and yet having to deal with this robot would be completely seamless, and I would be able to interact with the world, meaning being able to be connected with my family and talk in a seamless way. And if you have problems that are related to interactions of your users with your brand, don't hesitate to contact us, Google Cloud Consulting, and we will help you design and implement a solution that satisfies your customers when interacting with your brand. To contact us, you can call us at this email and website through this website. Thank you for your time.